Hey guys, welcome to Outlaw Edge. So I'll show you one of the most frustrating things ever is when you have a car that comes in and they're like, oh, it's super clean. And this guy's awesome, so I'm not complaining about him. I'm just saying this, I'm using this truck as an example. And you know, the same thing, they thought this truck was real clean. There was a couple little patches right here on the sides, but I'll show you what happens is you pull the floorboards up and you start looking at all the rot. And over there you can see the holes in the floor. And this thick rust right here is rotted through the cab. There was a mouse nest in here, and from all the pee and whatever from the mice, it's rotted out. And then right here is rotted out. You know, and we knew these spots were here. That's why this isn't down to bare metal yet, because the rest of the truck is down to bare metal, so we can get it into primer. But this here is rotted out a little bit, but I cut the other side out, and I'll show you what it looks like. You know, but like on other cars or whatever, they bring them in and they're like, oh, you know, you guys did all this stuff to my car, but it's super clean. Well, whatever. So this patch here, this patch was hiding this stuff. And on these unibody Ford trucks, now you can see the rot. And all that stuff right there is all structural on this truck. So it's all gonna have to be, you know, fixed, cut out, replaced. There's the back of the cab that's not there. I mean, that's horrible. And you can see down in here that this is all rotted and there's holes in the bottom, and I mean, that's not good. And it's rotted all the way back to here, which means if it's rotted all the way to here, it's rotted all the way to here. And the structure is pretty good, but you can take your hand and put up in here and feel that this back piece that mounts to here is all rotted out, which is the wheel well and whatever. So, yeesh. But that's so frustrating when somebody thinks something is super clean and then it ends up being like this. And every single time when you get a car down to bare metal, you know, and you get it ready to do body work and paint and whatever, they're like, oh, that car doesn't even have Bondo in it, or no rust, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Wrong. But like I said, this guy's really cool. I'm just using this truck as an example. This is the perfect example right here. You know, this, you know, we didn't know that all this is in here, this rot, and that means the whole bed of the truck's gonna have to be cut out and replaced and whatever. And I mean, that just added to the cost a lot, you know. And then when I got the fenders off of it and stuff, started looking in here, and there's rot right here. You know, all this stuff is rotted out. And you know, you could look at it right here and think, you know, well, it's just a little spot. No, that rot goes all the way up in here, and from here down to here, and from here over to here. And I mean, you're talking hours and hours and hours to do a restoration. And that's the thing that customers don't see. It's not even worth doing restorations anymore on something, you know. It's a pain in the ass because you know, it ends up where the owner of the shop or whatever ends up eating all that because they end up trying to do the best they can with what they got. And you know, the customer wants to save on, you know, materials, and they want to save on everything and do it as cheap as possible. Well, it ends up biting the shop owner in the ass. And like right here, you know, here's another example. Tapped on it with a hammer and stuff, and all this stuff falls out. It's all rotted where the water's been falling in behind the tail light. But just using this truck as an example, it's, you know, a pain in the ass. But, you know, what do you do? Anyways, thanks for watching. And here's another perfect example of what I'm talking about. You clean up the paint on something and it's bare metal, and like right here, it looks really good. I saw a couple spots like that. It's not a big deal. Getting the paint grinded off the back of the cab and stuff. And then you come over on the other side and it's a wreck. There's holes here and here and here. Those are all the way through. All through here. All this stuff is rotted right here. And there's holes all the way through this whole back cab piece, which means that whole section's gonna have to be cut out, replaced, welded in. And that's hours of work. No good. But like I said, you know, people bring a car or truck into a shop and they're like, oh, it's in really good condition. No, they're not. They never are. So keep that in mind. Thanks for watching. So here's a perfect example right here. This is why when people get all pissed off that, you know, Heidi doesn't give estimates until the car's down to bare metal, this is why right here. You know, and I'm using this as an example, so I don't want nobody getting all butt hurt, but this guy brought this truck in thinking it was super clean. There's no Bondo in it. Well, that was right. It's all Bondo. And this whole fender right here, I've been grinding and grinding and grinding. And I don't know if that camera will pick it up. This whole fender's been folded up really bad. And, you know, back in the day, I mean, look at this was all filled with Bondo right here. And back in the day, somebody, you know, instead of hammering and cleaning up this with hammer and dolly, they just smeared it with mud, Bondoed up the whole fender. And then, you know, you know, I feel bad for some of the customers, but some of them I don't, because they can be jackasses. But some of the customers come in here and they're thinking everything's super clean, but you've got cracks and spots that are brazed in and all rigged and full of mud and Bondo and filler and just a wreck. But to be honest, this one's not too bad. But I'm just using, like I said, I'm just using this as an example. But like right here when the fender got folded, you can see that, I don't know if I can chip that out of there. You can see that small crack right there, that's all mud. This whole fender's just been filled up with Bondo. And they had this all smeared in here. You can still see some of it. I've been grinding for about an hour trying to get all this crap out of here. Getting it down to bare metal so I can hammer it. Use a hammer and dolly and get all this stuff cleaned up real nice. But if you get a car coming into your shop, don't do an estimate. Just say, let me get it down to bare metal and we'll go from there.